Why would you ever believe your lying eyes? The answer lies in one of Hollywood's most fascinating stories of psychological manipulation that was told not once, not twice, but 3 times across 6 decades. Today we're diving deep into the multiple film adaptations of Gaslight and uncovering how each version captured the terrifying reality of emotional abuse in completely different ways. The story begins in 1938 when British playwright Patrick Hamilton penned a psychological thriller that would forever change how we talk about manipulation. His play Angel Street told the haunting tale of a husband systematically driving his wife to madness, and it didn't take long for Hollywood to recognize its cinematic potential. The first film adaptation arrived in 1940, directed by Thorold Dickinson for British National Films. This original version starred Anton Walbrook as Paul Mellon and Diana Wynyard as Bella Mellon, with supporting performances from Frank Pettingill as Detective Sergeant Ruff. Dickinson, who had previously made his mark with films like The High Command, approached the material with a distinctly British sensibility that emphasized psychological realism over melodrama. In these 1940 versions, the plot follows Bella Mallon, a woman living in a Victorian London townhouse with her seemingly devoted husband Paul. What Bella doesn't realize is that Paul is actually Louis Bauer, a criminal who murdered her Aunt Alice Barlow years earlier in that very house while searching for valuable jewels. Paul married Bella specifically to gain access to the house and continue his search for the hidden treasure. The psychological torture begins subtly. Paul starts making Bella question her own memory and sanity. He moves objects around the house and then denies having done so. He hides items and suggests Bella has misplaced them due to her supposedly failing mind. Most notably, he manipulates the gaslights throughout the house, causing them to flicker and dim, then convinces Bella she's imagining the changes in lighting. As Bella's mental state deteriorates under this constant manipulation, Paul becomes increasingly controlling, isolating her from friends and convincing her that she's too unstable to leave the house. The tension builds as Detective Sergeant Ruff begins investigating the old murder case and grows suspicious of Paul's true identity. The climax arrives when Ruff finally confronts Paul and reveals his criminal past. With Paul restrained, Bella experiences a moment of clarity and vindication. She realizes she hasn't been going insane at all, but has been the victim of deliberate psychological manipulation. The film ends with Paul's arrest and Bella's psychological freedom, though the scars of her ordeal remain evident. 4 years later, MGM decided to create their own adaptation, resulting in the 1944 version that would become the most famous telling of this story. Directed by George Cukor, known for his sophisticated direction of actresses in films like The Philadelphia Story, this adaptation elevated the material with a larger budget and star power. The 1944 cast featured Charles Boyer as Gregory Anton, Ingrid Bergman as Paula Alquist Anton, and Joseph Cotton as Detective Brian Cameron. Angela Lansbury made her film debut in a supporting role as Nancy Oliver, the housemaid, while Dame May Whitty played the nosy neighbor Miss Thwaites. Cukor's version expands the backstory significantly. The film opens with young Paula witnessing the aftermath of her famous opera singer aunt's murder. Years later, as an adult, Paula meets the charming Gregory Anton while studying music in Italy. They fall in love and marry, and Gregory suggests they return to London to live in Paula's inherited house, the very location where her aunt was killed. Once settled in the house, Gregory begins his campaign of psychological warfare. Like the 1940 version, he manipulates objects and the gaslighting, but Cukor's film explores the manipulation with greater psychological depth. Gregory isolates Paula from society, convinces the household staff that she's mentally unstable, and systematically undermines her confidence in her own perceptions. The famous gaslight scenes become more prominent in this version. When Gregory searches the sealed attic for jewels he believes are hidden there, his use of the gaslights causes the other lights in the house to dim. When Paula mentions this phenomenon, Gregory insists she's imagining it, making her doubt her own senses. Detective Cameron enters the story when he recognizes Paula from her aunt's fame and becomes concerned about her apparent mental decline. His investigation slowly uncovers Gregory's true identity as the original murderer and his motivations for marrying Paula. The 1944 film's ending provides Paula with a more satisfying psychological victory. After Gregory is restrained, Paula confronts him directly about his manipulation. In a powerful scene, she deliberately drives him to frustration by pretending not to know what he's talking about, effectively turning his own gaslighting tactics against him. This role reversal gives Paula agency in her recovery and demonstrates her psychological strength. For nearly 60 years, these two adaptations stood as the definitive cinematic treatments of Hamilton's story. Then, in 2002, director Paul Bogart decided to revisit the material, creating a modern adaptation that updated the story for contemporary audiences. Written by Alex Burns and directed by Jeremy Stewart, this isn't your typical thriller. The film stars Terence C. Carson, Lamont Easter, and Eli L. in a twisted tale that'll mess with your head from start to finish. The story follows Rebecca, a young woman who starts experiencing strange occurrences in her new apartment. Lights flicker mysteriously, objects move when she's not looking, and she begins questioning her own sanity. Sound familiar? That's intentional. Her boyfriend, Marcus, played brilliantly by Carson, seems supportive at first, constantly reassuring her that everything's normal. But as Rebecca's episodes intensify, we start seeing cracks in his perfect facade. Easter delivers a chilling performance as the landlord who knows more than he's letting on. The psychological manipulation escalates as Rebecca discovers hidden cameras throughout her apartment. She realizes Marcus has been orchestrating everything, using technology to gaslight her into believing she's losing her mind. But here's where it gets really twisted. In the shocking finale, we learn Rebecca has been aware of the manipulation all along. She's been playing the victim while secretly gathering evidence to expose Marcus's elaborate scheme. The woman we thought was helpless reveals herself as the mastermind, turning the tables in spectacular fashion. Elle's supporting role as Rebecca's therapist adds another layer of deception as he's revealed to be complicit in the gaslighting plot. This modern take on psychological manipulation shows how technology amplifies ancient tactics of control and deception. The 1940 version emerged during World War II when themes of deception and hidden enemies resonated with wartime anxieties. The 1944 Hollywood adaptation elevated the story to prestige drama status, using star power and production values to explore psychological themes that were becoming more acceptable in mainstream cinema. All three films contributed to our cultural understanding of psychological manipulation. The term gaslighting itself comes directly from these adaptations, demonstrating how powerful storytelling can shape our language and awareness of important social issues. Each version proves that great stories can be retold across generations, with each adaptation bringing new insights while honoring the original material's psychological truth. The enduring power of Gaslight lies not just in its suspenseful plot, but in its unflinching examination of how manipulation works and how victims can reclaim their reality. Whether you prefer the stark realism of the 1940 original, the psychological sophistication of the 1944 classic, or the modern awareness of the 2022 adaptation, each film serves as both entertainment and education about one of humanity's, say, most insidious forms of abuse.